So the big day arrived after years of research, reading, writing, listening to all kinds of engaging lectures, came to the oral defense for my doctorate. I will admit that I was nervous. I don't usually get nervous, but when it's something new and unknown, I think it's natural to just kind of be a little on edge. What was really helpful was I'd spent the previous 4 weeks reviewing my entire portfolio. Part of the final class for your doctorate is you have to write a first chapter. You rewrite all your research to become chapters 2 through 5 in your thesis portfolio, and then you write a summary chapter. And that was actually a really good experience for me because I was able to get reacquainted with the last 2 years of my life, researching and looking at evangelism and discipleship within the context of the local church. I was able to make changes. The part I did not like was the bibliography. I have a lot of footnotes. I had about nearly 100 footnotes, and so that was about 4 pages of bibliography I had to create. That was not fun. So if I could give you advice, if you're a doctoral student, is every time you do a footnote, open up another Word document and just start your bibliography. It'll save you a lot of time down the line. And then the portfolio was turned in last week. It got a perfect score by God's grace, and that led up to my oral defense this past Monday morning, which was done online. We used Microsoft Teams, so it was kind of like Zooming. It was myself and the professor. He lives in Columbus, Ohio. So the first 10 minutes was just, small talk, chit chat, getting to know each other more personally. And then we dove right into it. And he obviously had a list of questions, some that are, questions they always ask. And then he had some that were specific about my portfolio. So I really appreciated that the professor came prepared for the oral defense. The very, very beginning was kind of an open mic moment for me to just summarize my research and what I've learned. And so I set up on a tripod my iPhone on the side and filmed my oral defense. And I thought I would share just a snippet here of my opening remarks during the oral defense. So watch this.
Starting with you, just kind of giving a presentation of an overview of your portfolio, and then a little interaction, dialogue, and really, I'm honored to be part of this process because it's a very significant one in terms of acknowledging your accomplishment at the end, and a little bit of challenge to move where you go from here. So I'll try to interact a little bit. And so it's really your turn. And I might poke in, but I really I'll try to be disciplined and just listen.
All right. So I should go on ahead and kind of give my overview?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Okay. Prior to the pandemic, my wife and I had the pleasure of starting a church from scratch with no people, no building, no money, no clue. And over a 7-year period, God grew it from 0 people to 1,200, which at the time we thought was amazing. Have throughout this process, through interacting with my professors, have learned that numerical growth does not equate spiritual health within a local church context. The shepherd's tree in the Kalahari Desert has the deepest documented roots at more than 230 feet deep. And a deep-rooted tree like this can weather climate change, storms, droughts. Regardless of the tree's above-ground height, the tree's real life and health are not evident above the soil line, but below it. Thus, above-ground rapid growth is not necessarily a sign of good life or health.
Yeah.
pandemic hits, and in Michigan, our governor shut everything down, and
Yes.
we were multi-campus at that point. All of our physical doors shut, and we very, very quickly saw all the metrics go down. Engagement, donors, etc. We had a second storm, so to speak, in that we had a leadership challenge that led to a mass exodus. And so coming out of the pandemic, Life Church was in a very tough and challenging environment. Through this process, I've come to realize that the lack of robust discipleship is what was most lacking prior to the pandemic. After the pandemic, in order to create a clear plan for leveraging what was learned during the pandemic, we conducted an internal survey with follow-up interviews with congregants and peripheral attendees. We utilized MailChimp.com to do the mass survey, and we were able to reach lots of email inboxes. And then we were able to meet with some people one-on-one for further contact. And this led to the formation of valuable key feedback that could then be extrapolated into follow-up interviews with additional key congregants. And based on all of this internal research, a clear statement problem was developed. The problem I seek to resolve is that Life Church does not have a clear plan for leveraging what it learned during the pandemic. So 4 micro-projects were employed to address the stated problem, and those 4 micro-projects contained in the portfolio are an instructional video, a website redesign, an advertisement for ministry launch, which was billboards, and a new podcast. And as is shown through the portfolio, these 4 micro projects have allowed the researcher to develop new paradigms for engaging the unchurched while being sure to strengthen the discipleship approach of Life Church with current attendees. After the opening remarks, that's when the professor started going through his list of questions. He started first with the questions that were very specific to my research and to my doctoral thesis. They were all really excellent questions. I felt pretty prepared. I had a little cheat sheet on my screen that just reminded me exactly of the wording of my problem statement and some of the micro projects that I engaged in. But that's about it. Some of the questions would ask hypotheticals, such as, to what degree can your solutions be replicated or franchised among other churches? And so that's kind of like a big hypothetical, but you have to be able to show how you would replicate your findings in other contexts. Another that I thought was really interesting is he said, imagine that you are brought in as a church consultant, or you are coaching a church, and here's their situation based on what you have, studied and learned and adapted. How would you address this situation? And I really enjoyed that because I think it engaged both hemispheres of the brain. The left side, the logical side, which was all my research, was engaged with the right side, which is using your imagination and improvising. My background is in improv comedy. So I really enjoyed some of those types of questions. Then he moved on to the standardized questions that they ask of every doctoral student. So I could feel that shift when that came. And then we got to just kind of talking a little bit. It really felt like I felt like a younger pastor talking with an older pastor who really cared. That, yeah, he did have some dry questions at times to ask, and I knew he was doing a checklist, but beside that professional piece of it, I really felt like he knew my background, he knew my research, which I appreciated. So I wasn't just a number. And so I don't know if that's specific just to Liberty University or if this is typical of all doctoral oral defenses, but I really felt like he cared about me as an individual. And so we got to talking a little bit, and I got to ask his advice on a few key issues that are kind of challenges right now in my life. And that was really, really helpful. And I really appreciated that. He even offered to be a help down the road, which I will take him up on that because I need all the wisdom I can get. And then finally, we came to this moment that I captured on my tripod. Watch this.
I appreciate that.
That's good.
So bless you. I'm looking forward to hearing about what God continues to do through you, John. Now, I want to be the first one to officially recognize you as Dr. Jonathan Herron. I know that there's a few things you need to do to wrap up this term, but my supervisor I work with a lot of guys that the best part about this, you put the cherry on the top, and you just tell them.
So there you go. I'm a doctor now. My kids don't understand that. I have 5 kids. My youngest kids are ages 4 and 5. And so they think that now when they have a medical problem, they come to me, so my joke is turn your head and cough, kid. Just turn your head and cough. It feels amazing to finally be to the finish line. It'll be a few months before I receive the actual physical diploma, because right now it's February and graduation is, I think, May 11th. And whether I attend in person or I don't attend in person, I won't receive the diploma for another 3 months. But other than that, everything is done and accomplished. I got a perfect score on my oral defense. By God's grace, thank you. Whew. And it is a tremendous relief. My mind still is in that work zone of thinking that I have another paper to write or I have another journal article to read. So I haven't made that internal shift yet to just relaxing. That's kind of the tension that I'm walking through now. But for all intents and purposes, I've completed everything with the doctoral candidacy, and we'll be graduating with flying colors. Yay! And this has been helpful too, just kind of sharing with you these video blogs. And so here's where I need your help is let me know in the comments if this has been helpful to you, if you would find any benefit in me continuing to do these video blogs, because I will. I can talk. I don't have a problem sharing what's happening in ministry and in life, but I only want to do that if you find that beneficial and helpful. So let me know in the comments if you want more content like this. If you're considering going for your doctorate and you have questions, throw those in the comments and I will be happy to answer any question you have. You can ask questions specifically about Liberty or just about the doctoral process in general. I just know that when you're trying to weigh out different programs, or even if you're feeling called to go into the doctoral program, it doesn't hurt to, kick the tires and get advice from others who've gone a little bit further ahead of you. And so I would be honored to be able to help you in that. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in. Feel free to subscribe for more madness in the future. Until then, Dr. Jonathan Herron. I feel so pretentious saying that. My parents love it, by the way, though. I'll tell you that. Your loved ones, once you get that title, they love calling you the doctor all around the house and on the phone and stuff. They just get a kick out of that. So For me, I just kind of feel a little weird about it, but that's okay. I'll get over it. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.